Morning. It's Monday, June 8th, and I want to talk to you about the Quartet. And I'm betting you never heard of the Quartet. Well, the Quartet is a group comprised of the European Union, Russia, the United Nations, and the United States. It was established in 2002 to facilitate the Middle East peace process negotiations. Now, that makes them 18 years old, and very few people have even heard of them. The mandate of the Office of the Quartet is to increase Palestinian economic and institutional development as a support towards achieving a two-state solution. In the event of a resumption of final status of negotiations, the OQ, everything has initials, the OQ would support Quartet members in their efforts to realize a successful outcome. And it's only been around, like I said, for 18 years. So why am I bringing this up? This has to do with an announcement that Kelly Craft made. You know who Kelly Craft is? She's our ambassador to the United Nations. So the other day, Kraft said that the United States is still committed to facilitating negotiations between the Israelis and the Palestinians. And this comes about because Israel is intending an annexation of the Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. So at the press briefing on Friday, Kelly said that the Trump peace plan is not set in stone, and said the administration has been working to bring Israel and the Palestinians to the negotiating table to discuss it. That we really have to have these negotiations, whether it be through a quartet or an arrangement with Israeli and Palestinian ambassadors at the UN, that you have to get to the table. So because of the Israeli announcement, the UN spokesman and the UN Mideast envoy have also held discussions with the parties on setting up a quartet meeting to push the two-state solution. Now, last month, Mladenov, he's the UN Mideast envoy, told Israel it should abandon its plans to annex the Jewish communities in Judea and Sumaria, including the strategic Jordan Valley, despite the fact that the Israelis have maintained control over this territory since 1967, and over 500,000 Israelis live there. Now, what's very interesting about this situation is in the history of all the wars that the Israelis have fought and won with all of their neighboring Arab nations, when it came time to settle something, to peace, the story was always give land for peace. So the land that Israel accumulated in these wars, they gave back. And that includes certain parts of Judea and Samaria. So now this clown, this Mideast envoy clown, comes up with the idea that they should give up land that they have held for 50 some odd years. But I don't think Israel is ready to continue this land for peace bullshit. I think this annexation is something that's going to happen, and they're working on it. Now, under the U.S. plan, they envisioned Israel getting 1/3 of Judea and 1/3 of Samaria. That's what they were going to annex, and the Palestinians could have the rest, with the possibility of creating an independent state, provided they stopped their regime-sponsored terror campaign and ceased threatening Israel with destruction in addition to other conditions. So we're not even asking for the whole thing, according to that plan, according to the Trump Jared Kushner plan. We're not asking for all of Samaria and Judea. We just say you're going to take 1/3 of it and leave the rest of it for the Palestinians as long as they can behave themselves, which is a fat chance of that happening. Now, the Palestinians, to their credit, have admitted that they're not going to stop doing their terrorist activities. And Mahmoud Abbas has said the Palestinians will no longer be committed to any signed agreements with Israel or the U.S., and he's called for negotiations under international auspices, including by this quartet, to advance a two-state solution. And he also said he's not going to stop paying terrorists who murder and maim Israeli citizens. So that's where that stands. Now, in the Israeli plans for annexation, they're going to take a lot of territory. I'm not sure how much, but they're going to take as much territory as they feel they want, and it's not going to be just 1/3 and 1/3. But they're not going to, the Israelis are not going to evict the Palestinians from their land. The Palestinians will be able to live there, but they will be second-class citizens. They will not have any of the rights of citizenship. They will not have the same right as Israeli citizens. This will create a messy situation with the continuous state of affairs in which two sets of laws apply to two adjacent populations. One that's able to exercise the full rights of citizenship and the other barred from those rights. Such a development could push Israel over the edge from being a democracy to a state that embraces a permanent system of ethnic discrimination. I have to believe that this system, this situation is abhorrent to most of the Jews confronted with it. After being second-class citizens for several millennia, I don't understand how they could manage to do this to another population, although I do understand the politics of the situation. So Israel has put themselves in a no-win situation, so to speak. They're going to create something that they left far behind years ago and put it on another nation. When I look at the big picture, the Palestinians are as much at fault for this situation as the Jews. More at fault, in fact, because they had many opportunities to get themselves a private state, to be an independent state. But they refused because they want to annihilate the Jews. And so maybe it's good if they spend a couple of 100 years as second-class citizens. Maybe that would be a good thing for them. Maybe they would learn a lesson. Maybe they will think ahead. Maybe they will figure out how to become an economic powerhouse by themselves. In any event, that's all I have to say right now. See you in the morning. Bye.